This video is clearly not going to be appropriate for advertisers.
It has the word disability in it.
Maybe not. Could, I guess. Actually, it will do, because I do have one book about disability. Hey, YouTube! This video has the word disability in it. Are you going to flag it? I don't monetize my videos, so... But maybe one day.
I just got a text from Director Dog. He says action.
Do you guys remember Director Dog? Do you know who Director Dog is? You better. Otherwise, go watch my videos better. Hi loves, it's me, I'm back. I'm gonna skip the whole, why have I been gone for so long? I promise you I'm back for real this time. Because that just feels like really typical YouTube bullshit, frankly. And I can't be bothered. So I will just tell you that I have missed you. I will extend the warmest of welcomes to the new 100 or so of you that joined me after Russell so kindly shouted me out and called my videos cinematic. I guess my camera's going to good use then. Thanks, Russell, love. You're amazing, and so are all the people who have joined the family since you shouted me out. So, suffice to say, I have been in London. I have been to Summer in the City, which was amazing. If any of you are watching who were there, then hello, and I'm glad you enjoyed the panel. It was very successful. And then I went to France, visited with my family for a while, who I haven't seen in a bit of time, so that was lovely. Saw my amazing twin and my big brother, who's opening a restaurant in Notting Hill at the end of the summer, which is all very exciting. And then I came home to my lovely husband, which was also wonderful. He got older while I was gone, this thing that he hates called a birthday. And then I went to Arizona to visit my parents-in-law, and it's a good thing I did, because whilst I was here yesterday, my house almost burned down and my roommate got evacuated. So it's been a roller coaster. But what better way to combat stress and anxiety about your wooden house almost burning down with all of your stuff in it than to come to you guys with a massive book haul. I have loads of books to talk to you about, and I really don't want to do part 1 and part 2. So here we go.
Part 1.
Fuck you. The first book I have to talk to you about is Sorry to Disrupt the Peace by Patty Yumi Cottrell. Now, we follow 32-year-old childless Helen, who is semi-employed looking after troubled teens in New York City. She is in her apartment one day and she accepts the delivery of a couch from IKEA for her roommate, and the delivery guy's been calling her a million times on her phone, and so when another phone call comes in after the couch has been delivered, she doesn't immediately answer her phone, but when she does, she finds out that her adoptive brother has committed suicide. Now, she believes that her brother will not have committed suicide, that is terribly out of character, and so she decides that she needs to do her own investigation, and this is going to lead her back to her estranged family and an eclectic cast of characters in New York City. Apparently, this is a kind of noir and also darkly comic and very touching, and this is Patty Yumi Cottrell's debut novel, and I have not heard anything about it, but I've read the first 3 pages as of today, and so far I like it, so I will let you know. The next book I am here to tell you about is an author that I've been meaning to get to for a while. Paul Auster is kind of quite famous, I reckon, even though I've never read any of his books. But my dad says that this is his best, and this is the Brooklyn Follies. And I was in Waterstones with my dad, and he had a gift card, so I kindly took advantage of said gift card and bought this on his recommendation. And it follows an uncle and nephew duo, one of which has lung cancer, one of which, yeah, they're not objects, they're people. One of whom has lung cancer and is divorced and estranged from his daughter, and one of whom is running away from his career in some capacity. And they come across Lucy, who is a little girl who for some reason doesn't speak, and this joins them together and forms the basis for the rest of the story. No idea what to expect, no idea about Paul Auster. Russell also tells me that the Brooklyn Follies is great, so on my dad's recommendation and on Russell's recommendation, I feel pretty confident it's going to be good. This one, you guys, I am so excited about. I've read it 1,000,001 times, but I've got a new copy, and it was an extremely generous anniversary present from my lovely husband. Yes, we've already been married a year. Crazy. I can't believe it. Marriage is the best thing in the world, except if you don't believe in marriage, which is fine too, but I happen to, and I love it, and it's been the best year ever. This was my anniversary present, and I will film a cutaway because it is just so beautiful and you have to see it. This is the special 20th anniversary edition of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Now, I had a problem when it came to this because, as you can see, this edition was published to represent the 4 houses. So you had a Gryffindor one, a Slytherin one, a Ravenclaw one, and a Hufflepuff one, and the side of the book shows the house colours. The problem is, no matter what test I do, Pottermore included, I've done it multiple times, I have a pretty even split between being in Hufflepuff and being in Ravenclaw, and even I can't decide which one I identify the most with. It really depends about where I'm at in life and what is feeling better. But I think I'm a bit more of Ravenclaw, and I think my husband must feel like I am too. Do you, my love? No? He's shaking his head. You feel like I'm more of a Hufflepuff? Yeah. Hufflepuff is the lame house though. But no, Hufflepuff are the kind people, so it's fine. Even if I were a Hufflepuff, I would be okay with that. But anyway, he went with Ravenclaw, which I prefer the colours anyway, so that's fine with me. And best for booktube, I guess. But yeah, this is so beautiful, and I've been meaning to do a reread of Harry Potter, which I will not do before I am done with my reread of his Dark Materials, which I need to do before the Book of Dust. But it will come, and we'll probably have some kind of Harry Potter series videos. By the way, for new people who might not have seen all my videos, my second video ever on this channel was a Harry Potter related video, so if you want to see that, I will link it down below and show it to you here, since YouTube doesn't let me link stuff anymore. But yes, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone 20th anniversary edition. Next, we have a graphic novel, which I'm super excited about. As you all have seen in my previous video, I have read a graphic novel recently, which I really enjoyed, and it's kind of my aim for the rest of the year to read some more graphic novels. I'm about 30 books into my 50 book target for the year, and so I've got to hurry up a bit. So I think I'll be reading a lot of short books and graphic novels. So this one is perfect. It's called Snot Girl by, I've forgotten who, Bryan Lee O'Malley and Leslie Hung, and I believe that Leslie Hung is the mind behind Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which excites me because I love Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, if you don't know that about me. I have not read this yet, but Snot Girl is a fashion blogger who has seemingly perfect life, except her allergies keep getting in the way of her being cool, and she also may or may not have killed somebody, and she looks really awesome and has green hair, and what the fuck, a graphic novel about allergies? I don't know though, apparently it's really good, and I love the art, and I love that it's kind of like in the modern canon she is a fashion blogger. Like, that makes me laugh. Maybe we'll have a graphic novel about YouTubers next. I'm excited. Next we have Stares and Whispers, Deaf and Disabled Poets Write Back, which is the world's best title in the history of everything. I love it. I love the idea of this anthology, and that's what it is, an anthology of poetry and prose, mainly poetry I think, and it's edited by Sandra Alland, Khairani Barokka and Daniel Sluman, and this was kindly sent to me by Nine Arches Press. Now, for any new viewers who might not be aware, I am disabled myself. I have cerebral palsy, and one of the things that I have been aiming to do is find more books that showcase the voices of disabled and neurodiverse writers, and BookTube is a great place to do this because so many of the people I watch read so widely, and I've really got to know a lot of voices through that. But this was why I was so happy to be sent this by Nine Arches, because I feel like it's important to kind of have a collective of those voices together and be able to point people towards this type of work if they want to learn more about the things that disabled people and deaf people are fighting for and the culture that surrounds that. One of the things that makes me so excited about this book is that they have a bunch of what they call accessible poetry, which means that they'll link you to some videos which helps them be visual and helps allow access to more people. So I'm excited about that. I love the idea of kind of mixing internet stuff with written word stuff. That excites me. I've read the introduction of this and I was just completely taken with the message of what they're trying to do, and I think it's important work. So regardless of whether you're deaf or disabled or know anyone who's deaf or disabled, please pick this up. It is now out, I believe, with Nine Arches Press, who published a bunch of wonderful things. So look them up on Twitter and get your paws on this, and I will wrap it up soon. I'm very excited. Next we have Super Sad True Love Story by Gary Shteyngart. This is kind of a near future dystopia where America is in a massive financial crisis, books don't exist anymore, and it's kind of about the online meeting and falling in love of two people, one of whom is a Russian immigrant and a janitor, and the other of whom is a Korean American with a major in images and a minor in assertiveness. So I think it's written in like email and text form, and it's kind of a bit of an epistolary novel. I hear very mixed things about this. I actually bought it for a book club that I am in with a Facebook group, and I didn't read it because I was too busy. So I am going to get to it and I will let you know. A lot of them seemed very annoyed with both characters, which for a novel that centers largely on those two characters and those two characters only does not seem like a good thing. So hopefully I feel a bit differently. I do have kind of a soft spot for epistolary novels and things written in loads of different formats like that. If you haven't watched my 22 Facts About Me video, the first novel I ever wrote was written in like MSN conversation and emails and texts and stuff, and I would still really like to write something in that format one day, but I better not wait until I get too old, because then it just gets really cringe and I don't know like what the kids are doing. But right now I think I could still do it, so maybe I will like this just based on what format it's in, but we'll see. I will report back to you guys. The next one is the one I was most excited to bring you, I think, out of this haul, and that is The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night by the beautiful, wonderful Jen Campbell. Now, I have to tell you a secret, guys. I've already read this. I read it on the plane back to Los Angeles. I read it in a day. It was wonderful. I cried a lot. I was very creeped out, which I was expecting because this is Jen. And I thought it was wonderful. Honestly, it just sweeps you away. It's full of fairy tale, full of kind of darkness, full of representation for LGBTQ stuff, disability stuff, deformity stuff. I loved it. But I am not allowed to quote it because this proof was kindly sent to me by Two Roads. In fact, I'll show you the picture that I took and posted on Twitter of my amazing proof package, including silver Smarties from Two Roads, which I felt like a fairy eating. I will wrap this up when I can and when I can talk about it. But in the meantime, if you haven't pre-ordered your copy of this, please do. I assure you it's wonderful. If you've ever taken any one of my recommendations, take this one and pre-order this for Jen. All right, we will come back to that in November when it is published. This next one is Christodora by Tim Murphy, which has been on my list for ages. I have this list on my phone, which is so long. Mainly, it's just called BookTube, and it's mainly just a rolling list of people's recommendations. And this has been recommended by loads of people. I think I added it onto my list when Simon from Savage Reads recommended it. Did I tell you what it was called? Christodora by Tim Murphy. I'm tired. I've got a headache. I haven't had any coffee today, and I like to think that I'm not addicted to caffeine, but this headache would tell me differently. I have been wanting to read, since I read Tell the Wolves I'm Home, more books about the AIDS crisis, and this apparently is one that's unmissable. It's epic, ambitious, and deeply poignant, according to the blurb, and it follows a bunch of people who live in this apartment called the Christodora in New York City, and their fates intertwine, and it follows them from the 1980s when the AIDS crisis is happening all the way to a future New York City in 2020, which isn't that far in the future now, which is super alarming. But I think we follow a gay couple, we follow another AIDS activist, and a few other families. I love these kind of human stories that follow a bunch of people and focus on their relationships and the kind of very personal stories that intertwine them. That is the common thread for all my favourite books, I think, is when I really feel like I know a bunch of characters, and this is what I hear happens in Christodora, so hopefully I will love it. I also really want to read Angels in America, which I have sitting on my shelf, which Amy kindly gifted me, so I think I might do some kind of twin read with them. I mean, not at the same time, but like one right after the other, and then maybe make a video about the two of them. By the way, if you haven't read Tell the Wolves I'm Home, I reviewed it in this video here, which I will also link down below, from the beginning of the year, and I loved it. So if you're also interested in learning more about the AIDS crisis through fiction, then you should pick that up definitely. Christodora by Tim Murphy. To me, it already looks like a movie in my head, and I haven't even started it, so we'll see. Our penultimate book of the haul is All My Puny Sorrows by Miriam Toews. I had never heard of this book. I just came across it while I was book shopping yesterday. Yes, I was book shopping again. Don't judge me. I'm always book shopping. It's a problem. This is so beautifully published. It's kind of like a smaller format, and something about it is just really nice and feels really satisfying. I've already cracked the spine and I haven't even started reading it. How do you guys feel about cracking spines? Like, I feel that spines are there to be cracked and it's okay. I don't like for my books to look like they've been chewed up by dogs, but I also don't like them to look like they are unread, because I've read them and hopefully I love them. And so yeah, let's do a survey down in the comments about how people feel about cracked spines. I know this is a debate because I know that Sana from Books and Quills literally sells a badge that says "Don't crack the spines" in her merch store, which I think is hilarious, but I could never buy that badge because I crack spines. Sorry, Sana, if you're watching. I know you're subscribed. I apologize. Yeah, it's bad. I don't dog ear though, and I rarely write in it. If I write in it, it's very important and special. Plus, I love the idea of coming across a book that someone else has written in. Like, that makes me really happy. And I love books where, like, that's the point. Like The Ship of Theseus, which I still need to go away and read. But I'm supposed to do that when I reach 1,000 subscribers. So, still got about 80 to go. Anyway, I was talking about this. All My Puny Sorrows by Miriam Toews. This is about two sisters, one named Elf, who is a very successful concert pianist, and she attempts suicide just before a grand tour, and her sister Yoli is kind of charged with dealing with the aftermath of that situation, looking after her sister but also dealing with all of her family's reactions. And as the blurb says, she's kind of charged with answering this important question, which is, what do you do for a loved one who truly wants to die? And I think that's a really complicated question, and I think that's what makes suicidality and suicidal ideation so difficult for people to speak about, because it's so hard to accept that some people might actually truly want to die. And I guess the aim is always to save people's lives, and the only way to save their lives is to keep them alive, but that's not always the simple answer to these things. So I'm excited. I've never read anything by this author. Apparently it's her 6th novel, so I'm always happy when that happens, because if I do like it, that means that I have 5 novels to go back and read. Apparently it's absolutely heartbreaking, but it's also really funny, and I like things like that. I like things like that test me on every emotional level. So yeah, not only is it beautifully published, but I think it's a really interesting premise, and I look forward to reading it. How do you finish like every book in a haul? I still haven't gotten it down. And then that brings us to the end, and I don't think I've been speaking for that horrifically long, which is good. This beautiful specimen, which is a hardback. I'm technically on a bit of a hardback ban, but every time I walk into a bookstore and I see a hardback and I'm like, I'm on a hardback ban, and then I'm like, but just this once. And you know what? If you're a booktuber and you want new releases, you're gonna have to buy hardbacks. So yeah. This is called Refuge by Dina Nayeri. This seems epic. So it's a refugee story about a girl from Iran and her father. And the girl flees from Iran as a refugee and makes her life in the West, and I think becomes quite successful in the West, but her father stays behind. And it's kind of about how that affects their relationship, how their dynamic changes. And I think it takes place over 20 years, and there's kind of these 4 cornerstone reunions between father and daughter over time. And it's a meditation on immigration, on Iranian culture, and on father-daughter relationships. And man, yeah, that sounds awesome. And it's got this beautiful cover. I love anything about mother-daughter, father-daughter relationships. I think those are some of the richest relationships to write about. And I obviously think that refugee and immigrant stories are very important, especially today. And I am wanting to pick up more and more of those. So yes, we will read that soon and get back to it. And actually, I told you that was the last book, but I forgot about something, because I finished it today and it's in my car, and that is Such Small Hands by Andres Barba. And this was very kindly sent to me by Granta. It's a tiny book. It's 94 pages, translated from the Spanish. I read it in a day and a half, and that's mainly because I was traveling. Otherwise I would have read it in one go. It's about a little girl called Marina who has a doll also called Marina. The cover has a very creepy doll on the front, so I knew that it would be about creepy dolls, and that intrigued me. I like creepy dolls. Not to like have in my house, but they're fun to read about. Marina is an orphan. Her parents die in a car accident, and she is sent to an orphanage, and it's kind of about how things go down between her and the other girls in the orphanage. And it's a perfectly terrifying meditation on how awful children can be to each other, and how vicious they can be, and how games are sometimes not so fun and mainly quite horrifying. It is absolutely beautifully translated, so I would love to one day soon read it in the Spanish and see how that compares. But I was genuinely blown away by the translation. Yeah, it's some really beautiful language, but I will be including that in a video soon. I'm going to be making a video about 6 short books that I really like, and that will be one of them. But technically that's in the haul, so thank you, Granta. I loved it, and that was really nice of you. And I guess that is it. And I forgot to tell you that entire time that I had wine with me. Thank you for listening. Sorry if this was a little bit out of practice. I forgot what it was like to have this big black beast in front of me. But I'm glad to be sitting with you guys again. I hope that one of these books made it onto your TBR, if not more. And yeah, I'm excited to be back soon. One last thing. Today, I had the honour to hop on a live stream for a little bit with Miss Rowan Ellis, who is absolutely wonderful and a great friend of mine. And she did a live stream today on women on YouTube, and I jumped in for about 45 minutes. I will link it down below in case you want to see it. I recommend that you watch the whole thing because I was joined by some amazing people from all different intersections, and we had a really, really interesting discussion. But I come in from about 1 hour and 2 minutes in, and I'm there for about 45 minutes. So if you want to go and show her some love on that video, I would really appreciate it. And I will see you soon. Sending you lots of love from Tucson, Arizona. Bye. All right. Let's go read some of these books. He's still shooting me. This is creepy.